What's up, everybody? We are back. John Delarose here, the leading Hispanic voice in science fiction. Coming at you today with some very interesting comic book news. You guys might have been aware of the shutdown of comic books from Diamond Distribution. Diamond had decided about a month ago that they would be cutting off all distribution of new product to comic shops. Of course, this really hurt local businesses pretty badly. I've been talking to several local comic shop owners, just checking in on them, as several are friends of mine, several are people that I like to support. And I definitely love to support my local community. That's a very important thing to me. And they're hurting really badly, even the ones that had initiatives to get comics going, do curbside delivery, do pickups, home delivery, whatever. Had a great influx in that first week when everybody realized, you know what, I'm going to go support my local comic book store. But they're telling me that ever since that week, its sales have been down, even on that front, from 80 to 90%. Never seen numbers like this before. This is an epic crash of terrible proportions that's going to be putting a lot of people out of business. And so, of course, comic companies are trying to figure out a new way to do things. And DC Comics has announced that they're going to be making their own distribution. Now, reading this article on Bleeding Cool, it's very interesting to see how DC reacts with this. And reading the comments on here, DC almost seems like they're on the defensive about this. I mean, you see the words right here. First off, historically, DC Comics has been much more friendly of a publisher to comic book specialty retailers than Marvel Comics. They're just trying to say how much more friendly they are, how much better they are, and really trying to posture out of this. When really, I don't see much going on where they're presenting solutions. Marvel Comics actually tried to start its own distribution system and actually bought its own distributor, bought the major comic distributor that was a competitor back in the 90s. And I had an interview with editor-in-chief Tom DeFalco from that point. Tom understood that this was going to cause problems. It was going to upset a lot of other comic publishers. It's going to upset comic customers whenever there were issues with the distribution, and it would all lead back to Marvel. And sure enough, it spiraled. These guys had no idea how to run a distribution system, and I don't believe that the people at DC do either. They've got their own thing going, and it's in publishing, it's in writing, it's in art, but it's not in distribution. So when they start this from scratch, they're going to run into some major problems, and trying to get something up quickly and going quickly means that there's going to be major issues. And we're already seeing this right now. I saw another article just right on here on Bleeding Cool. Diamond talks DC Comics. All orders are still in our systems. So if DC is starting its own distribution, is pushing comics out to comic shops, and has duplicate orders for the same comics at Diamond, there is a potential contract dispute that can be very, very big. This is the sort of thing that you see big lawsuits develop over. And when you get a big lawsuit like this happening, and there's a contract, and there's a crisis like this that's, an act of God and isn't really Diamond's fault, you're going to find that companies like that are going to be, or that judges are going to be sympathetic to companies actually trying to get things done, trying to process their orders, compared to a big company media conglomerate like Warner Brothers, who is just trying to push their product out and kind of shirk their contractual obligations. So this could really spiral out of control quickly. And a lawsuit like that is something that could just sink a company. So we're seeing that these companies are already making major mistakes in order to just try to keep their short-term games going. From what I read in the articles also, comic shops aren't very happy with the way that DC is doing this either. So they don't seem to be helping things out on the local business level as much as they are posturing that they are trying to help out. We'll see how this shakes out, and I'll be definitely covering this and paying attention over the next couple months to see what happens, because a shakeup like this in the mainstream industry could change the landscape for everyone. Of course, it's not going to change my distribution system whatsoever. I've got a very simple distribution system set up in a couple different levels. I've got right here a campaign going for my new comic book, and I've been able to come out with comic books monthly with no problem. This one is called Robotoad Wrecked Manlet. It's on Indiegogo right now. And it's a monster story. It's like a classic story you'd get in the Silver or Bronze Age, where you get a full beginning, middle, and end. You get some great characters you're going to care about. The monster is going to be a real threat. You are going to see wonder like you haven't seen in decades. And this is what you get out of Robotoad. You can get the book for only $10 right here. It's going to be a pretty limited commodity because this is going to be gone when the campaign ends. So I hope you come in and back and check this out. But I've also got my second distribution system for my other comics, which is Flying Sparks Comics right here. And as you see, I've got all of my books. I've got 7 issues up right now on Kindle. And so people can read them right away for cheaper than you'd read a Marvel or DC comic. You can get the paperback because I have a distribution system set up myself. So if you wanted a paper version, you can get that. Of course, you got to pay a little extra for the paper version because I've got to pay my print costs. But if you want to just read, you can read right now. If you want to get stories, you can keep getting them. I've got all of this set up, and it doesn't impact me whatsoever. This whole virus situation, the distribution situation. If comic shops want to order my stuff in bulk, if you're a comic book store and you want to support there, you can order from me directly, and I will deliver you signed books. That's fine. Or you can actually go onto my distribution site, which is Ingram Spark, and they actually have a catalog that has all of my comics in it and everything too. So nothing shut down on my end. The indie world is actually thriving here with people buying this all the time. And that's very interesting to see the difference between just a system that's nimble, that is new, that's modern, like what I've got, versus what's going on at DC and with these legacy systems. And they're seeing that there's been problems for a long time with the way that these distributions are set up through Diamond and now actually through their own companies and subsidiaries. But, maybe it's a way forward for indie comics. We'll see. I'll be back soon with reporting on comics news and insider information. I hope you'll hit that like and subscribe button, guys, and check out the comics, and I will be back.